President Trump's firing of former Veterans Affairs Secretary David Shulkin last month sparked a debate about whether or not Trump will move to privatize the VA. So, how concerned should we be, and has Trump made good on his promise to fix the VA in general? It's time for the check-in. President Trump has an idea how to fix some of the problems at the Department of Veterans Affairs healthcare system. See if you can spot the one word he thinks will make all the difference.
We're going to have choice, and we are now doing choice.
We are going to ensure every veteran in America has the choice to seek care at the Veterans Administration or to seek private medical care.
We want them to have choice.
Choice is the word Republicans use when they mean privatization, because there's this mindset on the right that the private sector can do everything better than the government can. There's a debate to be had, but I'll just say that the Hoover Dam has been there for almost 90 years, while the Jamba Juice on your block that used to be a Curves is now a Chipotle. Trump talks about this idea of choice like he came up with it, but in reality, the Veterans Access, Choice, and Accountability Act has been in place since 2014. You know, back when your Chipotle was a Radio Shack. Now, among other things, the act allows veterans to seek private care if they live too far from the VA facility or have to wait too long to get an appointment. But even with that choice, studies have shown that veterans overwhelmingly prefer to go to the VA for their care. But unfortunately, when it comes to decisions involving veterans, Trump reportedly seeks the advice of Fox News personality and Iraq War veteran Pete Hegseth, who favors an overhaul of the VA and who is on Trump's shortlist to be the next Secretary of Veterans Affairs. Now, you might be unfamiliar with Hegseth because you don't watch Fox News, or you're very familiar with him, which means you just hate watching my show, and frankly, I don't appreciate that. So to get you better acquainted, here he is weighing in on issues ranging from the NFL to Charlottesville to the March for Our Lives.
I have to ask you, what are we kneeling for at this point? Because you talk about social injustice. This is the least sexist, least racist, most free, most equal, most prosperous country in the history of humankind. I think the president nailed it. He condemned in the strongest possible terms hatred and bigotry on all sides, as opposed to immediately picking a side out the gate. Forgive me if I don't want a lesson on the Second Amendment from a 16-year-old. Forgive me if I don't want to watch a 9-year-old tell me that her dream is a world without guns. I watched that, and you know what my reaction was? Honestly, I donated to the NRA this morning. I'm serious.
No one thinks you're not serious. But here's where I'm serious. I hope you're better with a gun than you are with an axe. This is an actual clip of Pete Hegseth.
Plus, Pete and Clayton are facing off. They're testing their skills with the axe. Who's going to win this battle with the lumberjacks? I'm putting my money on Clayton.
It's like the saying go, the only thing that stops a bad guy with an axe is a drum kit. Now, both Hegseth and the White House deny that Trump's want to privatize the VA, but it's difficult to take that argument seriously because Trump floated the idea of privatization shortly after he was elected. If the VA were privatized, it would only benefit a select few, like big hospitals and providers, at the expense of taxpayers and veterans themselves. And these concerns were heightened after Trump's former VA Secretary David Shulkin said he was fired because he refused to go along with privatizing the VA.
Shulkin alleged today he was fired because he did not want to privatize VA care. In essence, because he refused to dismantle the VA. He claims he fell victim to a power play by Trump's political appointees. Quote, "They saw me as an obstacle to privatization who had to be removed."
The good news for Shulkin is every time Trump removes an obstacle, it comes back as an even bigger obstacle. Trump removed James Comey, Comey wrote a book. Trump removed Michael Flynn, Flynn flipped. If Trump had a mole removed, it would be testifying before Congress a week later. Now, Trump could have chosen a number of qualified people to replace David Shulkin at the VA. Someone who has experience running a massive bureaucracy would have been a good start. But instead, Trump went with White House doctor and Navy Rear Admiral Dr. Ronny Jackson. That's right, he chose the White House doctor. I guess we should just be happy Trump didn't go with his personal doctor. In case you don't remember, that is for real Trump's personal doctor, Harold Bornstein. Ah, bro. Bro. You got a little PTSD? You need a little hydroponic chronic and 200 cc's of Pink Floyd, baby. Now, Jackson's hearing, during which he was expected to answer questions about privatization, was set for this Wednesday, but lawmakers had postponed it after they had received reports of allegations that Jackson oversaw a hostile work environment as the White House doctor, allowing the overprescribing of drugs, as well as claims that Dr. Ronny L. Jackson drank too much on the job. And I, for one, am shocked to hear that a 50-year-old man who goes by Ronnie would behave improperly. The only way it's okay to be a 50-year-old man named Ronnie is if you play the jazz flute. Oh, yeah! Dr. Ronnie is in the pocket tonight. Now, Trump was asked about what he thinks Dr. Jackson should do next in light of these allegations, and his response was, as usual, all over the place.
I said to Dr. Jackson, what do you need it for? So we'll see what happens. I don't want to put a man through who's not a political person. I don't want to put a man through a process like this. It's too ugly and too disgusting. If I were him, actually, in many ways, I'd love to be him. But the fact is, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it.
What do you mean if you were him, you wouldn't do it? You're even less qualified, and you did do it. This has been The Check-In.